pain.
I've made a huge mistake.
I'm running this monkey farm now, Frankenstein!
I know I'd go from rags to riches.
Why, a 4-year-old child could understand this report. Run out and find me a 4-year-old child. I can't make head or tail out of it. Faravelli, you've got the brain of a 4-year-old boy, and I bet he was glad to get rid of it.
My fate is up to you.
Now I'd be shitting my pants if I was you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. It's time once again for Top 100. It's Top 100 movie scenes this time. We got a great panel. I've been looking forward to this one for a long time. These guys put in a lot of work, and it's probably not going to pay off. Let's introduce our panel. Let's start it off. You know him as a participant in Top 100 performances. Mr. Jack Pinchuk coming back. Jack, they can say whatever they want about you, but they can't say you don't love coming on YLS and talking about movies. After the absolute beating you took at the hands of Cody and the panel and the chat and the community at large, like a champ, you stand right back up and say, "Thank you, sir. May I have another?" My question for you, Jack, are you going to turn things around? Are scenes going to go better for you than performances did?
I mean, it can only go up, right? All I'll say is this. If Cody wasn't already wildly confused about me and my taste in movies, my opinion on movies, he's gonna have a hard time wrapping his head around some of these picks. But I think my goal is to confuse Cody this series, and I think I'll be able to do that just fine.
All right, looking forward to it. Panelist number 2, winner of Top 100 Movies Volume number 3, Mr. Cody Newberry, graciously giving up the seat for me for the rest of the season. I appreciate that, Cody. Some people say there might be a little bit of collusion between the two of us. I just think we both, for the most part, have pretty good taste in movies. But we're not talking about movies. We're talking about scenes. Completely different ballgame. What are your predictions for the next 3 months?
3 months, I'd kill myself. Is that 3? Are we 3? It's 2.5. Okay, anyways.
Close to 3.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to it. Okay, so there's multiple things. Unless Jack watched like 100 years of like cinema overnight and never watched the Lord of the Rings movie, sure, he could see. He could also have Googled like the top 100 scenes and not like, so he doesn't seem like a complete buffoon. I doubt that will happen. And even if he does, he'll be half asleep for most of the episodes. Second, I have Jake here. Jake is going to do Jake, and he will have a lot of fun. And I know Scott, your guys' movies taste, you like some, but you don't like consistent, so he's in for a rough time. I have a shot to win again. I don't care to win. I held myself to a very strict standard of I didn't want to talk about things I've talked about over and over again on these shows. I've done over 160 episodes of these. I limited to the amount of scenes per movie that I could do. So there's a lot of things. And by the way, I know that now clip from "I'm running this blah, blah, blah," not the dumbest character in Romero's trilogy. And I can safely say that now. So 3 people may disagree, but me, I can tell you that it's not true.
All right, panelist number 3, participant, Top 100 Scenes Volume 1. Jake, who won that one? Remind me.
Wait, the first one?
Yeah.
You won. You did.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
But we're here now. Like I said, it's not movies, it's scenes. You can have bad movies and good scenes out of bad movies. So who knows? It's a whole new ballgame. How's Top 100 Scenes going to work out for Jake?
We'll see. I don't know. My mindset was just to have fun. Let's just pick a lot of these. I think there are some great dramatic scenes and scenes that I resonate with me a lot, but there's a lot of scenes that I just think are fucking hilarious or just highly entertaining. So we'll get to that when we get to that. But I've been looking forward to this for almost a year. Whenever Koho posted here's the yearly list of YLS, I was like, I have to be on this. And so I'm just so happy that we finally got to that day.
Awesome. And panelist number 4, last but not least, winner, Top 100 Scenes Volume 4, Mr. Scott Harvey. Scott, some people might say that win was due more to the quality of competition.
There's an asterisk on it,
but
yeah.
a win
It's the
is a
American
win.
League Central. It's the American League Central.
How you feeling about top 100 seeds?
I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, I'm definitely going to have stiffer competition this time. I think mostly from Cody, probably, just knowing, Kirk's taste. But yeah, this is fun. This has become a fall tradition for us now, Kirk, to do a top 100 together. And I'm sure that things are going to be a little bit different with a different panel. But who knows? We may still end up with a final episode with a guy named Jake drunk on stream. So we'll just have to find out whether that happens or not.
It absolutely could happen. All right, so again, it's top 100 scenes. This is going to work like these early episodes. We'll play it by ear how far we go, but these will just be like regular YLS episodes. We'll go in standard YLS fashion. I'm putting out this now for the entire series. We are under a spoiler alert. We're going to be talking about endings. We're going to be talking about twists. We're going to be talking about surprises, death scenes, denouement or two. Who knows? So we are under spoilers. If you hear the name of a movie that you don't want spoiled for you, don't turn out. We need your view. I would suggest turn on the volume when you see the banner come up. When you see a banner come up for a new movie, turn the sound back up, and we'll go from there. Also, if your picks are super spoily, just remind the viewers that you may be ruining a movie for them. Give them a little bit of a heads up to remind them of that. Also, as far as yikes go, we didn't talk about this before we went on the air. I meant to, but if someone's scene in any way overlaps your scene, because there may be a little bit of crossover there, I don't know. Yikes it, and we'll straighten it out when we get there. I'm trusting you all to know your scenes well enough to be able to know what your scenes are involved in or not. So without further ado, Mr. Pinchuk, we're going to start with you. What are your 100 through 98 top 100 scenes of all time?
For sure. Oh, last thing. I didn't include a movie more than once on this list. That was a rule I set for myself because of what happened.
No.
So,
I heard that rule many times.
I was going to say over under Lord of the Rings trilogy. How many? Like 10? Wow, that's impressive.
I know, right? Weird.
Wow.
Anyway, my number 100 is The Wedding from I Married a Witch. My 99 is Happy Gilmore versus Bob Barker and Happy Gilmore. And 98 is the Dream Ballet sequence from An American in Paris. All right,
Okay,
my 100. Yeah, The Wedding from I Married a Witch. This scene is comedy gold. Veronica Lake and Frederick March are at their absolute best in this scene, like in this movie, particularly in the scene. There's some great comedic beats, and you've got awesome moments where Jennifer played by Veronica Lake, her father gets shot, and when someone else walks in the room, Frederick March is like, "No, it was an accident, I swear," and he goes, "No, it wasn't. He shot me in cold blood. Please notify the authorities," and then he dies, and it's great. But no, there's some great moments in this scene. It's honestly a delight of a film, and if you haven't seen this movie, please do. This is the best scene in it by far. Happy Gilmore versus Bob Barker. Again, the scene is comedy gold. I just rewatched it before coming on the show today, and there's so many. This scene never fails to make me laugh. Bob Barker just steals the scene from Adam Sandler. I know, shocking, but whatever. But it's a fantastic scene. And when Bob Barker grabs Happy's throat and beats the shit out of him, it's just so much fun to watch. And the Dream Ballet sequence from An American in Paris. Honestly, I wish I could have this higher, but having just seen this movie for the first time quite recently, I did put it 98. It was the one thing I swapped out on the list, and it's just incredible. This scene, not a word of dialogue in it, and the choreography, the costumes, the production design in it, gorgeous. The cinematography in the scene is phenomenal. I had a great time with this film, and this was infinitely the best scene of the film. So.
Okay. Number 100, I Married a Witch. I watched this movie for your list. I hadn't seen it before. Overall, it was a fun movie, so thank you for that. I did make the mistake and I learned from this of watching the scene or watching the movie, knowing what scene you were talking about. So I gave it maybe a little too much extra scrutiny. And I'm going to stop doing that. But no, it's fun. It's a short movie. I mean, it's only like 75 minutes, and the scene's a big chunk of it. It's a pretty long scene. But yeah, it's cute, like, old timey screwball comedy stuff. Cecil Kellaway as the dad to me is the standout. His little gags, like you said, like, no, he shot me in cold blood. And he's just a lot of fun. So not a bad choice for 100. 99, Happy Gilmore. I don't mean this as a shot like you're too old, I'm too old, or you're too young, but do kids your age know who Bob Barker is outside the scene? Like, I feel like this is all he is right now. But no, this is, if you're gonna put a Adam Sandler scene on your top 100 list, this is the one to do. Because I mean, it's been memed to death. But when this first happened, and you saw Bob Barker get into a fist fight with Adam Sandler, that was crazy, and that was not the kind of thing you expected. Again, now everybody knows Bob Barker beats up Adam Sandler, but you saw it for the first time. It was a little bit mind blowing. So yeah, that's not a bad pick. And then the American Paris Dream Ballet, beautiful scene. Again, it's one of those things that lots been said about. I really don't have much to add, but yeah, just the length of it and the whole. Just how much they put on film there, just going through like the different like plateaus and different vistas that they have. Really beautiful. It's been done, it's been redone and copied to death. So not bad for your not a bad start, Jake or Jack. So keep up the good work. And Cody, we're gonna move on to you.
Neither one of you quoted "The Price is Wrong," bitch, and that just makes me so sad. Best part of that thing.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it.
Yeah, I'm pretty miserable on this side, I'll be honest with you. Okay, so my 100 is Caesar yells no in Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Yikes.
Okay. My 99 is the church fight in Kingsman.
Yikes.
Okay. And my 98 is Kong versus helicopters. Is that a monkey from Kong Skull Island? No yikes, thank God. I really don't like that I had 2 yikes and they came from Jack. That makes me very sad. Overall, so there's a lot of criticism that comes with this movie. This scene alone is exactly what I wanted from the film. I think with how they set up Kong in this movie is brilliant. When they're all flying in and they see nothing they're just flying in to check the area and they start dropping bombs in an island that doesn't belong to them. And then you just see the figure in the sun and they're still confused, which is still funny to me that all of them like, what is this? Like, what the hell else could it possibly? It looks like a giant, it looks like King Kong, it should be. And he just wrecks shop. Like, I get it. It's like, I bet if they were practical, they used animatronics, it would look a lot better for people. Me, I loved it. I think the CGI worked perfectly. I think how they just how he like throws the branches and then they see it like basically slow motion and they're like losing every one of their men left, right to the sky to Kong and he's wrecking shop. It's one of my favorite scenes from this movie. And it was like I had to put an entry mark because I didn't want to this is not clearly like the best 100 scene, but this one is pure cinema fun. So I had to include it.
All right. This is a great scene. I think the CGI in this holds up, unlike some other more recent King Kong movies. But no, and I was kind of a little unsure about this one just because, I'm a King Kong purist, and the idea of making him big enough to fight Godzilla, I was like, I don't know how that's going to work. But yeah, this scene totally sold me. Just seeing him come out and being that big. And like you said, just like the absolute violence. And the reactions are great. Like, it's like, how would you react if you saw like a giant monkey just come out of the forest? And that's what happens here. So, great action scene, fun movie. And yeah, just a great introduction for this character for the whole, the franchise that he's been in now. So, all right, that is your 98. So Jake, we're coming over to you.
All right, here we go. Number 100 is the failed RoboCop 2s from the film RoboCop 2. Number 99 is chased by Nazi planes in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. And 98, bring up that message from Diaz from 802. Restaurant Fiasco from Venom. Best movie of all time. So, wow, surprisingly nice.
Definitely not getting last. Let's go.
So number 100, failed RoboCop 2s. Really funny scene. They're trying to OCP's trying to make literally RoboCop 2, and we're seeing how it does not work, and you can only get it right once. My favorite moment of that scene is when one of the RoboCop 2s rips off its helmet to reveal a skull with wires coming from its eye sockets, and it screams in pain and dies. And the old man, all he can do is just be disappointed that RoboCop 2 isn't succeeding. So really funny scene, and pretty much a metaphor for the entire movie RoboCop 2. 99, chased by Nazi planes. Really funny. They're on the blimp, and then they head out. I really like the part where Connery fires the it's not the propeller, but like it's the tail of the plane, and he says, "I'm sorry, son, they got us." And then they crash down, and then they find a car, and then they drive, and then they go through a tunnel. Just really like inventive action, and I really am riveted. But like the moment I really love about this scene is when they're on the beach, and then there's a plane coming towards them, and Sean Connery, with his like just genius mind, decides I'm going to scare a bunch of birds, which is going to fly into the propeller of the plane, and it's going to crash. Absolutely hilarious, and I find it like funny as. 98 is I got to include a Venom scene, so I decided to go with the most comical, the most stupid. The restaurant scene is just really stupid. I really love Tom Hardy's performance. I don't even understand what he was trying to do, but this is sort of an indicament of his performance. The way he just comes in and looks like a crazy person. I've got this footage from the Life Foundation to his ex-fiancee Anne, and then he decides that he's going to beat a bunch of people up, eat a bunch of food, and then jump into the lobster tank. It was just hilarious, and every time I watch it, I'm just like, why did people think this is a great idea for this movie? And I'm just laughing my ass off.
All right. Okay. Number 100. I really like this scene. I think this, if someone asked you what is like the tone of RoboCop, if I sit down and watch the RoboCop movies, this is the scene I would show them, because I think it captures perfectly what everything that RoboCop is. And I love this. I think, is Johnson his name? The little like sniffling guy in glasses. That's the character.
Yeah, Johnson.
Yeah, I just love him as like that. Like just that he's like a perfect
character.
Like corporate like shill suck up guy, like Waylon Smithers type. And the one that comes out and just starts shooting people. And they have the great little touch. They're going to the meeting, and the guy has the cast on, and you don't know why. They haven't set it up, and they show the video. He gets shot, and he's like holding his arm, like just thinking about it. And then Johnson's in the video, and as soon as they start shooting, just perfect comedic timing, he like slumps down, and like he turns around, and he's like crawling out on his hands and knees. And then the robot slumps down, and the lights come on, the sirens. So yeah, just perfect comedic timing. My only problem with it is I feel like comedy is like the role of comedy is like threes. Comedy comes in threes. So I feel like there's one missing because they just do the two. But otherwise, it's hilarious. This should have been your 100, Jake. I feel like this is going to be better than like 80% of your list. So you should have had this higher. Last Crusade, solid scene. Not, I don't know offhand if you have any more Indiana Jones. It's not the action scene I would have picked. But I do like the touch with Connery and his character, like kind of saving the day with like his brains and like the way he would do it. Is a pretty cool move. But like I said, I mean, hopefully you have more Indiana Jones, because there are a lot of really great scenes to pick from there. Venom, I don't know what you're doing to me, Jake. We got 3 months of this. Please don't bring me this nonsense. I appreciate you putting this 97 so no one else can talk about it, but this does not bode well. So far your 100 is your best pick. Let's see how long it lasts. Scott, we're on you. Give us your bottom three.
Okay. At number 100, I have the rodeo scene from Borat. At number 99, I have the incinerator scene from Toy Story 3. And at 98, I have the grits cross-examination.
Yikes.
Yeah, okay. I knew that was coming. Okay, number 100, Borat, the rodeo scene. I'm not going to have that many comedies on here. It's probably not that big of a surprise to people that that's the case. It's not really my genre, but Borat is a movie that like thrives on individual scenes, and so I this was one that instantly came to mind because it really is just a collection of hilarious scenes, and this is where the funniest one to me, where he is at at this rodeo, and I believe Texas or somewhere like that, and goes out and gives a speech, pro Iraq war, saying, we support your boys in Iraq, and I want you to we're going to drink the blood of the children and all this stuff, and the crowd is just cheering him, and then he proceeds to sing the national anthem, but sing very pro Kazakhstan lyrics and ridiculous stuff like we are the highest exporter of potassium, and the crowd starts booing him, and it's just it's hilarious, and it speaks to what is great about Borat and Borat 2, which is the fearlessness of Sacha Baron Cohen to just go out there and do that. Because God knows what could have happened with these Texans. Like somebody could have stood up with a gun. Who knows? But anyway, it's a great scene. 99, yeah, not far off probably. At 99, the incinerator scene from Toy Story 3. Yeah, I mean, you're probably not going to see that many animated scenes from me either. Again, so I'm getting them out of the way here early, I guess. But I love the Toy Story franchise. I love all 4 of the movies. This scene, I mean, I think this movie has the biggest emotional moments, and this scene is arguably the biggest emotional moment, because for at least a few seconds, you actually think that all of the main characters are like about to perish. And I think that's interesting that they would go there, and ostensibly a children's film, first of all. But I also just like the approach of the scene that the toys, at a certain point, they're headed towards the fire, and they just stop struggling, and Woody is like, let's just, let's face this together. And there's something kind of moving about the fact that they just kind of like link hands and are just ready to accept their fate. Which we think for a few seconds again is going to be death. They're saved, everything's great, but it's a moving scene, and really speaks to our connection with these characters across all 3 movies. And so I think that was the pick for me.
Yeah, Borat. It's a funny scene. Borat has a little. It's not nearly as bad, but a little bit like the Austin Powers problem, where it's like you have to look back at those movies through the lens of like years of people doing bad Borat impressions to kind of taint your taste of the movies. But no, this scene's good. I mean, just like you said, just the ballsiness of him going out and doing these things and just completely committing to the characters, is great. And like it's just that kind of like performance, like Andy Kaufman type comedy is, yeah, there you go. That's what I'm talking about. But no, yeah, I mean, you have to give it to him, even if you don't like the comedy doesn't hit for you. You have to, respect the dedication. And then Toy Story 3. This is my favorite Toy Story movie, and yeah, I feel the same way. I know Cody was rolling his eyes when you're talking, but I think it speaks to how well not just this movie, but the whole franchise is made, that they have you believing that this might be the way they end it. I think the whole series, like, kind of like, matured through. I mean, it always had kind of like more mature themes than just a basic kids movie. But I think it matured through the original trilogy to the point where it's like, yeah, they might just they might not make it. And again, I mean, it's fleeting. It doesn't last long, but it's enough. And like that moment where they're all holding hands, you're just like, oh my god! Like even though they do survive, just like that moment of them, like you said, surrendering, like we're going to go out together, is super powerful. So yeah, that's very high rated on my Toy Story 3 scenes, or Toy Story scenes in general, or Pixar in general. So that's a good one, especially this high up. So that is everybody's bottom 3 for the night. We're going to go in, take the gloves off. Everybody's going to have a chance to speak their piece now. Jack, we're coming back to you. Give me your 97.
All right. My 97 is the lobby shootout from The Matrix. No yikes. Interesting. All right. It's a very great scene. Okay. So this scene is fantastic. Probably my favorite. Like, I know everyone loves to look at the bullet times scene and say that's the best scene in The Matrix, and I get it, but this is the one that captivated me, that really made me go, okay, this movie is phenomenal. The action in the scene is fantastic. Keanu Reeves and I'm forgetting the name right now, but that's okay. Trini, yeah. They're both great in it. It's not really like any it's not a talky scene like at all. I think the only words said in the scene are the guard when he sees Keanu Reeves open his jacket and where he sees all the guns and he goes, "Oh shit!" and then he gets shot immediately. It's just a incredibly choreographed action set piece, and it's a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, this is great. And again, this is another one where I have to go back to, my memories of originally watched it because The Matrix has been done kind of to death at this point. I don't know why you're rolling your eyes. I'm just stating facts. But this is definitely, because I mean, to this point in the movie, so much had been done like that, just the revelation of the Matrix and everything was just a complete game changer. And by the time you get to this scene, just when they have all the guns come out and everything and they're just loading up and you just know they're going to just shoot everything all to hell. It's great. And it's just a great setup to everything that comes after, because it builds off of this. But yeah, this is a really fun just shootout sequence and just really super over the top and just a great just fits into the movie so well. The whole movie is just so well paced as far as the action. It's just a really great moment in it. Everybody else on the lobby shootout in the Matrix.
It's great. It's awesome. It's like a practical set. All the rubble and shit that was destroyed, they had to clean it up for every take. Like it's well done. I love the song or whatever the piece of music that's used in that scene. I listened to that all the time in high school. It's a great scene, and it's Neo's first like action scene as when he really realizes who he is and what he can do. So no, I think this is a great scene.
Yeah, great pick. The wall running and all that is sick. The use of slow-mo is great. This is probably the scene to pick from the Matrix. I did think about picking something from the trilogy, but I don't know. I don't have as close a relationship to it as some people do. But if I had chosen something, this very well could have been in the mix. So yeah, I'm surprised nobody else had it. Good pick.
This was nowhere near close to ever making my list. Overall, thank you, Matrix, for opening the door for other action movies to do better things since and do it. It's so silly. The entire scene is silly, just where he's like shooting. I don't know why he's worried. He clearly never worried about the characters dying ever in this movie because they can't die because bullets don't hit them. He does a cartwheel in the middle of one of these scenes, and I guess if you do slow motion rubble coming at the camera, it's game-changing cinema. No idea why these movies even get praised anymore. Like, I guess the same reason Snow White gets praised. Thanks for opening the door, but the rest of us ran through the door.
That is an oversimplification. But
that's not an oversimplification. There's action. John Wick's action scenes look a billion times better than anything from the Matrix, and I will stand because he slow motion runs up somebody and kicks him in the face. We're gonna call that great cinema. Kill me now. Jack, congratulations. You did a good job Googling great scenes. You did a good job. You picked one of the scenes from the Matrix. You crossed the line. You did a good job. We're at 97. This is hell.
All right, Jack.
I'm gonna kill myself!
Jack, 96.
All right. My 96 is Patton's introduction in Patton.
That's a transition.
Oh, man.
Yeah, exactly. This is just one of the greatest introduction scenes to a character, I think. George C. Scott is just he fully embodies Patton in this film, and specifically in this scene. The speech he gives is brilliant, and it's just like I could talk a lot about this scene, but we're trying to keep this short, and it's been talked about a lot, not necessarily in this community, but it's a phenomenal speech and one of the great introductions, I think.
All right. Yeah, it's a great. It is one of like the great like character introductions in the movie. I just love the fact that it's kind of like has like a little meta aspect where he's talking to a room full of soldiers, but he's also talking directly to us. And just a lot of the stuff he says, like just talking about America and how America, loves a winner, can't stand losing. Just, I mean, you're like, man, it's kind of hits home. I like the fact that the Canadian picked this speech. But yeah, just that look in front of the American flag, just how just that stark giant flag and him, just that little thing in front of it. Yeah, I mean, it's top 9, in your 90s. I think it's a good scene to have. I don't know how much, higher I would go with it. But no, it's solid character introduction. Everybody else on Patton.
Was George C. Scott on your performance list?
No.
Then you're an entire fraud, and I can't stand anything about you. To put this even on your list, thanks for Googling, like I said before. That's what this list is. He literally describing the scene, he said he embodies Patton. Well, God, I fucking hope so. Could he have, Walt Disney? Who else is he supposed to be portraying? He's portraying Patton. In the film, the scene is fine. It's overplayed for what it is. The movie, his performance is what carries the scene, but scene for thing, it's a great speech, but overall, like, I don't think it stands, like, it goes beyond that point. Like, he did a great job playing Patton. He's the best. He's the only reason that movie works in any way, but the scene itself, I don't think rises above a lot of those scenes, especially one that's known so well. 96, but you could have put, where's another Lord of the Rings clip? That's what should have been here. Some battle got cut off because Patton's intro had to be here.
Jake and Scott?
I have not seen the movie. I've seen like bits of the scene, but like not enough to be like, oh yeah, it's a good scene. But I can't for sure.
All right, Jack, number 95.
All right. Scott didn't say anything. All right. Yeah, it's Eddie's 110th fight, $1 million baby. All right. This scene. This is my favorite scene from $1 Million Baby. From the first time I saw this film, I know Jay Baruchel isn't the best part of this film, but Morgan Freeman. You put anyone in a scene with Morgan Freeman, and they're infinitely a million times better. But Morgan Freeman in this scene gets to beat the shit out of Anthony Mackie, and it's a lot of fun to watch. Morgan Freeman goes to fix a overflowing toilet and bathroom. He hears Anthony Mackie and Michael Pena and the rest of them beating the crap out of Jay Baruchel, Danger, whatever his character's name is called. And he goes into the ring, takes one of Baruchel's gloves, and just beats the absolute shit out of Anthony Mackie, and it's a lot of fun to watch. Honestly, incredibly hard-hitting scene in the film. There's obviously other scenes that are like more emotional and whatnot, but this is the scene that I think of every time when I think of $1 Million Baby.
Yeah, to be honest, like when I first saw this on your list, had to kind of think back to what it was. It's not like a super memorable scene for me, but the more I thought about it, it is a very satisfying scene because a big part of the movie is the whole the subplot of the world of that gym, and Jay Baruchel's kind of hard to watch in this movie, but you still feel bad for him, and you hate Anthony Mackie, and you just want to see him, get the hell beat out of him, and just to see Morgan Freeman, see Eddie be the one to get to do it, it is pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I would not have this on my top 100, but I could see why you would, just because like that kind of catharsis you get from it. So again, in your 90s, I'm not going to give you a hard time. Anybody else on $1 Million Baby?
It's a right scene. I don't really remember much about the scene, other than like he kind of just beats the crap out of a guy. That's about it.
I don't like the disrespect for $1 Million. I like this movie a whole lot. Overall, I think this is the correct scene. You're correct. Jay Baruchel is not the star. I'm glad you pointed that out for everybody, just in case they were confused. But overall, like, it's a cool scene. There are other scenes in this movie that I like more than this one, but it's not a bad. Like, it's sure 95 cents.
Yeah, I've seen the movie one time many years ago. I had to remember what the scene was when Jack was talking about it. I think it's good for, how it is described, right? Morgan Freeman beats up Anthony Mackie. That is the scene. That is what is enjoyable about it. I don't know that it goes anything beyond that, but sure, in the '90s, yeah.
All right,
All right.
Jack, that takes your 94.
All right, my 94. Spoiler alert. I kept the title as vague as possible for people that still haven't seen the movie Room, even though it is an old movie. It's the rug from Room. So when Jacob Tremblay's character is in the truck, and so this scene. In this scene in Room, Jacob Tremblay is wrapped up in a rug, presumably dead, or so Brie Larson has told old Nick in this moment. And so he takes the rug, puts it in the back of his truck, and he's gonna get rid of the rug and Jacob Tremblay. And the escape scene that follows is so powerful and so satisfying to watch, because he's finally out. You know there's hope for Brie Larson now. You know that you know they're finally free. But it's just the sheer panic you feel during the scene before he finally makes it I was holding my breath the whole time. It's incredible.
Yeah, again, a scene I probably wouldn't I definitely wouldn't put on my list, but I could see why you would. Just again because of the build up to it, just because of the you're waiting to see how are they going to get out? Are they going to be able to get out from the the get go to when she starts planning this to when she puts them in there and everything, and then just with him wrapped in that rug, I was watching the scene today and it reminded me it's like. They show he's tight wrapped up in this rug and he's looking out and he sees the light coming through. And it was kind of like a rebirth to me. Like it reminded me, like it made me think like, he's being born into the world for the first time. And then he has that scene where he gets the rug unfurls and he looks up and he sees the sky for the first time. And just like that moment of, this like horrifying moment of what's going on. But you have that like split second of him just like basking in that and, kind of being overwhelmed by it. And then up till the end, when because he the way it works, he kind of gets away and he's running, and the guy comes back. So you just don't know if he's gonna make it or not. It's really keeps you on the edge of your seat. So yeah, again, not like a super memorable scene for me, but for your 90s, and like I said, just because the feeling you get from it, not a bad pick for 94. Everybody else on the rug escape scene from the Room.
So this scene crossed my mind. Overall, I didn't want to include it just because I haven't went back to it. I've never rewatched this movie since 2014. I think it's a very rough movie to watch. I think this scene like made me like have like almost a panic attack watching it, just because of the idea of like, if he opens up that rug, if he sees anything, and like when he does break out of the rug and run, like you just hear this, and he's just running for his life at that point. It's just a terrifying feeling overall. I think they do a really good job with the suspense. I think like what you said, like this is a kid that's never been outside, never done like anything at that point. So he's like experiencing everything for the first time. The sun's the brightest it's ever been for him. Like, so the things he's having to like do in that stressful environment without his mom by his side that he's never had. I think there's just some powerful things in the scene. So I think it's a really good choice. I still want to know what happened to Jack and who did this, but somebody else came up with this list, and I confirm. I need to. This is Holtzman's list.
I think this is a fine scene to pick from this movie. I'm not a huge fan of the movie, to be honest. I don't think it has a lot of interesting things to say about the situation, but this scene is effective on a visceral level, which is like the one level that I think the movie is effective on, which is just kind of keeping you invested in the actual plot of them being in the room and trying to get out. So, like I said, if you're going to pick a scene from this movie, this is probably the one to pick because it does have, that impact. But on the whole, this movie didn't enter my mind. I'm not that huge of a fan of it.
Yeah, I'm also not that big of a fan of the movie, although I do think this is the best scene in the movie, hands down. Or like the POV sort of subjectivity, like you really feel like you're with Jack. That's his name, right? The kid?
Yeah.
I can't remember. You just said it anyway. But yeah, I think it's a really good scene. But.
All right, Cody, that brings us over to you for your next, the meat of your list, so to speak.
Oh man, let's. I didn't Google this list, so these are not going to seem comparable. I'm doing the bomb scene from Top Gun Maverick.
Let's go.
I'm probably one of the biggest people that hate the original Top Gun with everything. I watched it at a bad time. I had to do this, so I had zero interest in seeing this movie. Zero. Watching this movie is exactly how this movie should be done, how a Top Gun movie should be done, how a air fight and kind of movie should be done. And I don't think there's been one that I've always found it interesting of dogfighting, but this one took it to a whole nother level. Again, I'm never going to experience 10 Gs in my life. If I do, then something drastically has went wrong and the earth has plummeted somewhere. I don't know, but I should never experience 10 Gs anytime soon. But the entire trench run basically to this bomb scene and out is some of the most intense action I've seen. And I understand Top Gun Maverick is getting this wide praise that is crazy for people. I still think it's a really great movie. I don't think it's the greatest action movie of the last 21st century, but this scene alone, where they're able to have to fly at such a low altitude and enter into this terrain, and they're basically, which is confusing to me. The whole movie is kind of confusing because they don't have the military weapons, the planes enough, advanced enough to beat the enemy, but the United States is king military, so the movie has to you don't have the things to beat these other jets. But basically they have to fly at such a low volume and such a fast amount of time, get up over into a I don't know how to they have to shoot down and then exit out in the sharpest point ever and get out. And how they're able to accomplish this movie with what they're doing is the most I think this is the most pro America fuck yeah moment than when Rocky beat Drago in 4. We've defeated the Cold War twice, basically, is this scene ends. I am so pumped throughout this entire scene. I've watched the scene numerous times. What is it? What's his name? Shit. Miles Teller's second one is behind and they have to catch up, and then his sight can't see, so he has to blind launch into it and then exit out, and as soon as they exit out, these missiles come for him. Oh, such an intense scene. Top Gun Maverick, badass. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. And if you can see it in the theater, you have to, because at home it doesn't do any justice to this movie.
Yeah, I have my thoughts on the movie as a whole, but I have no problems of anything that took place in an airplane in this movie. It was all fantastic, and what I love about this scene is that it's been set up so much because you've watched them train, and you know exactly what they have to do. So when something goes wrong for them, you're like, "Oh crap!" because you've been through it with them, and you know what's wrong and how it's going to how it's going to mess them up, how it's going to make it harder for them. So I think it's just a great payoff to everything that came before in the movie. And yeah, it's just great. And just the angles they're getting, from the plane, from the ground, like the shots from when the missile turrets turn up and the point of view from the missiles and everything. There's just a lot of great camera work in here. So yeah, it's an awesome action scene. I'm
they have to shoot the flares behind them and
just how every single thing has to be perfect, and then when it's not perfect, you're like, oh crap, what's going to happen next? So yeah, I really enjoyed that. That was tense. And like I said, there's a lot about this movie I wasn't invested in, But once this part started going on, I was like, yes, I am totally on board for this. Yeah, I mean, and I'm not even going to give you a hard time because anything about recency bias or anything, because it's a very, very, very well done action. And I mean, I think as far as legacy sequels go, you're definitely right. This blows, in general, the original out of the water. But the air scenes are a big part of the reason why. Everybody else on the bomb run from Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah, when I revise my list to include 2022 movies, I will definitely have something from this movie on there. It might be the test run scene. I might like that one a little bit more, where Maverick does all of this basically just to show that it can be done. But this is such a great, thrilling scene. And for the reason that Kirk mentioned, like one of the many things that the movie does really well is just the storytelling is so clear. And it's like a Mission Impossible movie in the sense that, you have like the briefing of like, again, here's what they need to do, here are the ways that it could go wrong, right? If you fly too high, if you don't get both bombs in there, whatever. And then so you are just in the moment when this scene finally comes around, and like Kirk said, exactly what the stakes are, what needs to be done, and what they're working against. So great pick, great movie, love it.
Good scene. It's been a while since I saw Top Gun Maverick, so my memory's a little fuzzy on the scene, but I remember being incredibly riveted by it. So.
Yeah, I got to this one a little late, I believe, when it first came out in theaters. But just seeing Top Gun right before seeing this, and then seeing this film, was incredible. This is clearly, if I had to pick one scene to put on this list from the movie, this would be it. Great choice, Cody. Just phenomenal scene.
All right, Cody, 96.
So I'm not a horror guy whatsoever. So when horror works for me, it works for me in the best way possible. So I went with Michael Comes Home from Halloween 2018. It's his first shot inside Haddonfield, where he's basically doing the walk through, the kids bump into him. He walks through the house. He basically kills the old woman, gets with the hammer, drops it, goes through, picks up the knife, and it's like this giant tracking shot. Like he sees the kid in the crib and keeps walking. It just shows everything I love about Michael Myers and Halloween. I don't love all the films. Believe me, they're garbage, but this is the one, and this is why I have such a visceral reaction to the sequel to this one, because I think they just completely waste what it is. Michael is he's basically he just moves and does what he needs, what he does, and there's no real rhyme or reason for any of the reasoning behind what he kills, but he just kills to kill. And the end shot where the lady's looking out the window and the stab goes through, and that's where the scene ends. I just love. I'm not a big tracking, figure out where the shot goes. Oh, that's cool how they shot that. This is one that's always stuck with me. The kids bump into him and he keeps moving, and as you follow him through to get to his knife, basically to get to a knife is the perfect thing to the return of Michael that wasted so many sequels up to that point. So, and Michael is one of those killers that doesn't do let me stab you with this flare gun and watch your brains he's very just quick and does his job to get to Lori. That's his main motive. So this is the scene. It was pretty. I didn't want to put it too high because I don't think it's the most incredible horror shot of all time, but this is one that is very high. The movie's very high, so the scene ranks pretty high with me.
Yeah, I've never been a huge Michael Myers fan. And the main reason is, to be honest, in the original movies, I don't think he's that scary. I mean, the first one, he basically, he drives around for a while in a station wagon, and then, he comes out with a knife, and, he can't stab anybody. He's got his victims, with an arm's length, and he's missing them. And then, if you poke him with any pointed object, he's going to be down for the count long enough to get away from him, and you can run because he's so slow. So, the originals really never freaked me out. I watched this scene. This is the first time I've actually been afraid of Michael Myers, just the way they set him out there, and it reminded me of Jaws. He was the shark, and all the kids running around were just the ignorant people who had no clue what was going on in the water, and no idea how close they were to death, and just like the randomness of the kills, just how he's walking around, and just like you said, the way it's shot. They're playing the music it's like a different like arrangement of the original music, but it's like it's a,
I forgot to even bring up the music. The moment that cues back in, it's like like that's one of the best scores of all time. Like bar none, and it's just like it brings you right back because you hear the intro when he hits in the chest, and then when he screws out, as soon as the mask hits, you hear the drop of it, and it goes, and you're like, okay, now we're back. It's crazy. Sorry.
That's right. And then just like how the choices of what they choose to show and not show, and where the camera moves to, and where it stops, and where it starts moving again, and how it falls. And when he goes up to the second house, he looks at the window, and you get that reflection, and it almost looks like the mask is smiling, but just like the way it's hitting, and then the camera just stays there, and you see him go around, and like it's inevitable this woman's getting taken out. But yeah, this is like I haven't seen the movie. Full disclosure, I just watched the scene, and I honestly had no real interest in seeing the movie. Now that I've watched the scene, I want to watch the rest of the movie. I'm like kind of engrossed based on this scene. So I think it's a really solid pick. Everybody else on the scene from Halloween 2018?
Yeah, this scene was almost on one of the earlier versions of my list. Like, it was in my head for quite a while I was making this list, but I decided to put some other ones on. I'm really glad Cody had it, because that's probably my favorite moment in this franchise, is this long take. It's really great. This is when Michael Myers, seeing this for the first time, this is when I was like, oh goodness, what could possibly happen next? Like, what Michael Myers is just unpredictable. There's no rhyme or reason to anything he does. Like you said, seeing this scene is just brutal, and he's incredible in it.
Yeah, this is a great pick. It's not one that I actually thought of, but yeah, I really like this movie. Kirk, you should definitely watch it. It's good on the whole. But yeah, this scene in particular, I think, just really gets at what is the strongest about Halloween, which is just the simplicity of it, right? It is just a guy in a mask in a neighborhood with full of kids on Halloween wreaking havoc. And so many of the sequels and everything and all that got away with it and overcomplicated the lore and whatnot. And this is the scene in the moment where he realized that David Gordon Green is being really faithful to the spirit of the original, down to the music and everything. And so it shows that horror and slasher movies don't have to be overcomplicated, supernatural, relying on a whole lot of stylistic tricks in order to be effective.
Yeah, it's a really good scene. I'm a sucker for tracking shots and long takes. Like, anytime I see that in the movie, I'm just so horny for it. And it's a really well done scene. I really love the way he just like transitions from hammer to knife. And it just goes like what Scott was saying. It goes back to just what made Michael Myers effective from the original Halloween film. So yeah, a very great scene.
All right, Cody, number 95.
Sorry, Warzone comes. So I'm not I don't have a ton of fandom or geek related stuff. So I picked things that I like, and I was very smart with what I did, because it's the classic YLS. I'm not going to talk about it because other people will talk about it or bring it up. So there are definitely movies and stuff that I have higher, but scenes overall, this is the one I went with. I went with Cap and Bucky versus Tony in Captain America: Civil War. No yikes. Okay. I love this scene. I don't love the movie as much as I love the scene. I think the scene is what works, and I understand there's another scene from this movie that works, but I don't love it as much as everybody else. I don't think it's that great overall. I think this scene is the one that actually has like the emotional elements to it. For the first time in like the saga, Tony like absolutely like loses his cool to a point that he just can't be reasoned with or realize what's happening. And I think the best thing in the MCU is the complete struggle between Captain America and Bucky. I don't think they do it the best they could, but overall, it's the one thing that Cap can't like shake and can't get away with. And basically, after he sees the clip, they get to this point. They see the clip that Bucky is the reason that Tony's parents are dead. And then it starts the manhunt for basically Tony's going to kill Bucky at this point, and he's going to end him. And Cap's like battling him back. This is the first time you see Iron Man and Cap actually like battle. And he basically said, like, one of the best lines is when he's holding Bucky by the throat, and he's like, "Do you remember them at all?" And he's like, "I remember every one of them." And then Cap is down, and he goes, "It's not going to bring him back." And like, it's the scene from Twohig's Terminator that's stupid, but it's the "I don't care, he killed my mom." I included it because I think it's one of the most like the lines that like, I don't care at this point. I'm going to end this. And I think how they choreograph, how they battle that scene, I think it looks really, really good. I think overall Bucky loses his arm at the end of this because he reaches in and tries to take out Tony's arc reactor. Again, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of, but this scene has always stuck with me from this scene that I absolutely love. There are better overall Marvel scenes, but this one actually has a payoff with the rift between Tony and like the introduction of the scene is when he's like, "He was my friend." Yeah. So I thought I was too. Like it builds up to like, yeah, this guy has been around. I've been here the entire time. So it's an interesting battle. Yeah.
The thing that I respect the most about this scene is that it exists, because especially after the airport scene, you figure, okay, they're going to do the regular cop out of the, they tease the hero versus hero story, and then they end up like a Batman v Superman where it's like, okay, now we got to go fight the real villain, and that moment you realize there is no real villain and they're going to fight for real. That was pretty crazy. So I respect the movie for doing that. However, on a personal, visceral level, I hate this scene because I do not care about Bucky at all. I say this whole movie and this scene is the two most interesting characters in the MCU breaking up over the least interesting character in the MCU. Bucky is the Yoko Ono of the MCU. He ruins this. I mean, I hate.
I will kill people today, Leo. I will kill people with this cricket bat.
Lionel Tribby appearance.
But I don't care about Bucky at all, and I hate how Tony gets completely punked out in this, because when he's like, "I don't care, he killed my mom," I'm like, yeah, I'm completely on board. Go get him. Like, again, because if it's a character I cared about that killed his mom, maybe, but like, take him out, Tony. And the fact that it's Cap holding him back and fighting against him and letting Bucky try to kill him, that drives me crazy. And then the end when Tony is totally punked out. That's not your shield. That's my dad's shield. I'm taking my ball and going home. That's like my least favorite moment in the MCU. I hate that so much. I hate what they did to Tony's character. I hate what it does to...
That's your least favorite part in the entire MCU? Sir, have you watched all of them?
Of involving these characters, absolutely.
Have you watched Eternals?
It's my least favorite character because I hate what it does to Tony's character.
But then the scene should work in some areas because he is going for Bucky and he basically makes him immobilized he blows off his arm.
Yeah, but it pisses me off that Cap's like not letting him just do it. Like, yeah, he killed his mom. Let him do it.
Because he's fucking loyal to a fault. He's Ned Stark.
I'm bored just listening to this.
But yeah, so I mean, I'm not going to hold it against you too much because on a technical level, it's a great fight scene. But I have a lot of trouble removing my personal feelings about it. Everybody else on this fight.
Good scene, good fight. I like it.
I mean, I enjoy this movie for an MCU movie. I think the emotional stakes are what make the movie. But if you watch the scene, it is dark, it is gray, it is every other MCU action scene, and so it's not on my list for that reason. And there's only one scene that you may see.
You want to talk about a crumb bum scum bum punk?
I'll own that.
Solid scene. This was incredible to see in the theater with my friends who were firmly divided between Team Cap and Team Iron Man, but it was just, this was a really fun scene to see in the theater. And having read the comics before seeing the shot of Iron Man shooting Captain America's shield brought to life in the MCU was comic book dream come true. It's a great scene.
All right, Cody, 94.
Scott Harvey is literally the guy that if you went over to his house and he bought great value chips from Walmart, and be like, "Oh, you don't have the premier name brand? My God, where's the film that we talk about sculpture and art? God damn! Oh, these dark gray bullshit, disgusting. This one's gonna get yikes. I think the Snap, Infinity War.
Yikes.
Oh, okay, you can move on.
Okay, Jake, yours.
Okay. 97, yeah. I don't even know how to set this up. I'm a big fan of the 2003 Ang Lee film Hulk, and I really just want to talk about this one moment from the scene.
Hey,
but I'm
Todd?
talking about the...
What the fuck?
The scene is Hulk escapes, and I'm talking about when he's in the facility and he breaks out after having like a nightmare. The scene is really fun. I've always loved the editing choices that Ang Lee had for the movie, and you see a lot of it in this scene. And Josh Lucas plays just a brilliant asshole in Glenn Talbot in this movie. And there's a part where he just wants to take a sample. He's got Hulk captured in the foam, concrete, whatever, and then tries to take the DNA sample, and then like realizes, oh yeah, this is too big even for me, so I'm just gonna blow him up. And then it bounces off him and hits the back of the wall and explodes in an incredible transition shot of Josh Lucas screaming while the whole background is an explosion, and then transitions into another scene. It is one of the most audacious, like, comic book scene moments ever, and really captures that sort of aesthetic. And I really just love. I just want to talk about that moment because it's just fucking hilarious. I love it. I will rewatch it anytime I want to. It's just so funny and it's great, and that visual is just like burned into my brain.
The part you're talking about isn't the worst part of this scene. I think just the rubber like doll action figure Hulk and that bright like lime green is just, there's a lot wrong with these effects. And then I don't mind like some of the choices in this movie, but like the constant picture in picture in this one and just everything cutting it's just so like so ridiculous. I don't know if we're going to talk about Hulk anymore or not on your list, but maybe I'll wait to say anything else. Everybody else on Hulk escapes.
I haven't seen the movie. I think I would probably like it. I like Ang Lee. This is like the era of comic book movies that I'm into. So, but
this is why Scott's my best friend on this panel.
I haven't seen it. I'm not saying one way or the other. I think I would like it, but I don't know.
I honestly think you might, like, to be honest.
So, I'm not gonna tear into you too badly because I don't exactly have a lot of ground to stand on myself. However, why?
It's hilarious and it's funny.
Does this feature Nick Nolte at all?
Wait, what do you mean? In the scene?
Yeah.
No.
Then you picked the wrong one.
Well,
overall,
I don't want to spoil.
Literally, I don't even have it. Jack is no longer my enemy. Scott Harvey is my enemy now in this thing, where he's sitting there. Like, I'm bored because this MCU is just dark.
Enjoy it.
It's just dark and gray. But he's like, give me Ang Lee's Hulk.
It's not dark and gray, I bet.
That's
have you seen Hulk? It's not dark and gray besides the giant green blob that runs through the scenes. It's always dark in that movie.
All right. Then I won't like it. Probably.
All right, everybody talked about this, right?
Yeah.
Jake, 96.
96. Scott picked a scene from Toy Story 3. I'm going to pick one from Toy Story. Chasing the van. Chasing the moving van. It's the climax of the movie. It's the first time we see really Buzz and Woody, like their friendship sort of blossom after they have that whole talk in Sid's room. I just find this scene like absolutely riveting and enduring. I really love the moment when Scotty is like biting onto Woody and is about to pull him. That moment when Woody says, "Take care of Andy for me," just like honestly is like really like emotional for me. And then Buzz sacrifices himself to Scott. Like just really like that scene. And then Woody uses RC to help Buzz, and then you have the moment where they light the rocket, which is just really funny. The Woody's like facial expression during that is really good. But then when they of course go up, and then Buzz is like, "We're gonna fly," and then falling in style. It's just like that character arc for Buzz is like, I may not be able to fly, but I can at least do something. And I really think it's just like beautiful moment for both characters. And I once Letterboxd allowed the poster changing ability, I changed the Toy Story poster to the part where they're like flying because I thought it's a really beautiful scene. And yeah, they go back to Andy's care.
Yeah. Toy Story. I like the Toy Story movies. I don't connect with them. You know, I mean, I wasn't a kid when they came out, so I don't have that kind of like connection, nostalgia for them. But this is just a really well written movie. And I love a movie that has like where you have two characters with like crisscross character arcs. You know, it's like Woody's. You know, Buzz starts out he doesn't realize. You know, he doesn't accept he's a toy, and you know that's Woody's whole world. And this scene when they call back to, you know, Buzz, we're flying, no, we're just falling in style. It's such a great moment because that's the moment where, you know, Buzz accepts that he is a toy, but Woody accepts that comes to understand that, yeah, they're toys, but they can do more and they can be more. So I think that's just a great moment for both those characters and just a great, you know, finish to that story. And it's a great like animated action scene too. It's a lot of fun. And just, I love it does what Pixar does best, like create the world for those characters exist in, and then just let them loose in it. And I think it really is fun, like just how they, you know, the way they use RC and the way, you know, they use Slink and everything is just really cool. So yeah, no, that's a really good pick. Everybody else on the moving van scene, Toy Story.
Yeah, I mean, just like the ambition of the scene is really great because obviously, you know, the animation by today's standards probably isn't the greatest, but when you understand the context of like this being the first fully computer generated animated film, it's crazy to think they would even like attempt something like this, like a full on action scene, you know, with cars chasing and everything. And it still holds up pretty well visually from that perspective. So I like it as an animated action scene, and like again understanding it in context. But yeah, the emotional stuff works really well too. I mean, it's what Toy Story does best.
Yeah,
finally Shut up, Jack. Finally, finally, you picked the Toy Story. Like, there's a Toy Story scene that actually has emotion and not like manipulation of the audience to make them think that they're going to burn a bunch of toys, burn them alive. So this one's a really good choice. I almost had it on my list, but it was so hard. It's like picking children at this point. Like, there's so many Toy Story and there's so many moments. So I just didn't. I figured I'd get into a hole and just pick too many. And then Kirk would be like, well, they're drawn. So is there real like things happening on scene, or is this just the person behind the computer? That could have happened.
What?
You're a grumpy old man. You're a grumpy old man. Just deal with it. But no, what he says is we're not. Shut your mouth. We're not aiming. No, whose show? Whose show? Shut your mouth.
That's all I ask.
I will recast the show tomorrow. We're not aiming for the truck is like one of the best like lines from this. Like, it's like to get him back to Andy. It's a brilliant scene. Good choice.
Oh yeah, I haven't talked yet. Yeah, this is a great scene. Between the two, I do have a soft spot in my heart for Toy Story 3, so I do tend to go back to that one more. In the incinerator scene is great, but this is objectively, this is the scene from Toy Story. This is the one that started it all, and it's fantastic. Great scene.
All right,
Yeah.
Jake, that is your number 95.
All right, so 95. I'm going to talk about one of the greatest character introductions of all time. You see a guy, a cover of Hotel California starts to play. He grabs his bowling ball, he licks it a little bit, and then he takes the ball. You see his name, Jesus. He's the Jesus. I'm talking about the Jesus' intro in The Big Lebowski. Even just the part where Walter and the dude are just talking about like Jesus' backstory, how he exposed himself to an 8-year-old and he had to go to every house and say he was a pederast. And he comes up to them and nobody fucks with the Jesus. And then he does that weird thing with he's like wiping the bowl. Like, just incredible. I mean, I heard that was an improv part by Totoro, and he wanted to do that, and the comments were like, "Yeah, that's hilarious. Just do that." Just really like for a character that only appears in like 2 scenes of the movie, he really leaves such a resonance with the character with the audience because of how memorable he is. I mean, he even spawned his own spin-off movie that apparently sucked, but like. They really shows how powerful a character can be when he appears in 2 scenes. His name's the Jesus, and he's played by John Turturro. Really, just incredible, an incredible performance for someone who's in the movie for like 5 minutes. Yeah, I think this is just absolutely hilarious and beautiful.
Yeah, definitely not a pick I would have thought of, but it is amusing. I'll give it to you because I love movies where characters take things way too seriously. Like they just something really stupid, mundane, and it's like the most important thing. And just the way Bullet in general is treated this, when John Goodman pulls the gun and everything. But the way he's supposed to be like, I don't even know, like some kind of like sex symbol or something, strut out there with the bully ball and all that. And it's just ridiculous, and that's funny. His performance and the way they intercut it with him, like knocking on the neighbors' doors and like just showed him like as this like pathetic little man, and they cut back to him, and he's doing, playing the music. He's got the bully ball and everything. So yeah, I I don't love this movie, but I enjoy. I think he is. It's an interesting scene. 95. I'll allow it. Everybody else on the Jesus intro in the Big Lebowski.
Still haven't finished the movie.
Disappointing.
I absolutely love this movie. This is not my favorite scene. More to come on that potentially, but it is a great scene. I mean, yeah, 8-year-olds, dude. I mean, that's just an incredible line. The whole scene is great. All of the Jesus's appearances are great, and yes, of course, the running commentary from the dude and Walter and Donnie is what also makes the scene.
Everybody knows how I feel about this movie. And this scene isn't one of those reasons that the movie definitely does not work for me. It's I like John Turturro, but it's completely overdone and annoying. So no thanks.
All right, Jake. Yeah, that's your number 94 then.
Oh, when is Mean Kirk going to show up? By the way, are we going to have to wait till 60s till we see like you give us all passes for our choices, or what? I'm just curious. Because Venom has been on this list, and he's still walking, which is
yeah. Because I kind of want to ignore that it happened. So
okay. Fair.
Understandable. Number 94. I'm going with the "I'm Glad It Was You" scene from Road to Perdition.
Yikes!
All right, Scott, that's going to take it over you. You're 97.
All right, at number 97, I know this is not a yikes. This is the kill scene from Thoroughbreds.
No.
Who? This is a really underrated movie. Spoiler alert, I guess, because this is at the end of the movie. But this is a really underrated movie, and it's about 2 teenage girls who try to kill the toxic stepfather of one of them. And the climax is this scene when the 2 girls are on the couch, Lily, which is Anya Taylor-Joy, and Amanda, which is Olivia Cook. And there's multiple sort of twists in the scene. It starts with, Lily tries to stop Amanda from drinking her drink because she says, "Oh, I drugged it, and I was actually going to frame you for the murder." And then Amanda decides to drink it anyway. And so then the Lily, which is Anya Taylor-Joy's character, goes upstairs to to perform the murder, the camera holds on the lifeless, quote unquote, lifeless figure of Amanda, who is just like, drunk the drugs now and is passed out. And so we don't actually see it happening. And then Lily comes back down on the couch covered in blood and like gives her a hug. And it's a perfect like image that sums up what the movie is about. These people who like really don't know how to make a connection, don't really even know how to express emotion. Like that's a huge theme in the movie. And you have this like final image of on the one hand, it's like a loving gesture of giving someone a hug, but on the other hand, it's like betrayal because she's also covering her in the blood and like handing over the dagger and basically framing her for the murder. And because of how brilliant the performances are in the movie, you don't know what her real motivations are, how she really feels about the situation, whether Lily, again, Anya Taylor-Joy, is actually just faking this emotion, pretending this emotion, because again, that's a huge theme throughout the movie. Or does she actually have any regrets about what she did? So it's like a great, like that last image again of them together on the couch is like haunting and a perfect way to just sort of crystallize the themes of the movie.
It's been a while since I've seen this, so I don't have like full memory of everything that goes down here. But I do like the fact I remember thinking that the scene was handled very well because, like you said, it all builds up to whether or not they're going to do this, and the tone of the movie is one of those ones like, okay, are they going to pull it off? You're not sure if they're going to do it or not, and if they do, how is it going to be handled? Because again, it's one of those. It's like a dark comedy, and it's walking a thin line. And I think it handled the actual murder scene very well. So, again, I mean, it's kind of definitely not a left field pick for 97. I'm not going to kill you. I know it's got Anya Taylor-Joy in it, so you got to get her on your list, and I'm going to let you slide on that. But no, it's like I think the movie's pretty good. But like I said, I liked how they handled the finale here. Has anybody else seen this?
I have, yes. Good scene. It's really effective how it just doesn't even focus on the murder itself. You just see drugged out Olivia Cook snoring on the couch, and then you just hear like, it's the ergometer? Like that's the machine he's used to work out. You just throughout the movie you just constantly hear that. Or something like that. Yeah. You just constantly hear the sound of the exercising machine, and then there's a point where it stops. You don't hear anything. Really effective sound, and just like an effective scene for something that's very simple.
I've seen it, but it's been a really long time since I've seen it again. So, but I remember liking it for some, but I can't remember the scene that well. So, but for you, it makes sense.
Yeah, this is one I've been meaning to watch because the director of this made one of my favorite films of 2020, and so I've been meaning to watch it, but I haven't gotten to it yet. So I muted, so I wouldn't have it spoiled.
All right. Scott, 96.
Okay, my number 96 is The Highway Chase from... No, that's my 95, Holtzman. That's supposed to be my 95, so maybe they got swapped, but...
I didn't put these graffics here.
No, I know.
The word Highway Chase are nowhere in this set of 10 movies.
Oh, well, that's good. So what do you have?
What do you have as
okay.
Your
96 is, my 96 is The Highway Chase from Terminator 2 Judgment
Day. Hold on.
Somebody has that later.
Yeah,
yikes.
Yeah.
Okay.
This episode.
Right. My 95 is the nightclub scene from Collateral.
Yikes.
Okay.
All right.
I hope this is right. My 94 is from Zodiac. It's It Was Lee is the name of the scene.
Yes. Is that the interrogation?
No.
No. Okay. Cool.
Okay. Cool.
Spoiler alert, for sure.
So Zodiac is one of my top 10 movies of all time, but this is one of a few movies where I struggled, like, what is the scene from this movie? Because I just think like the whole scene is, really, really good. Or the whole movie is really, really good. And there's not like one, necessarily standout sequence. so that's why the scene comes a little bit lower than you might expect. But the scene I chose is this scene. This is where Jake Gyllenhaal's Robert Graysmith goes to the jail to talk to Clea Duvall, who is the sister of the first victim that we see, Darlene, in the movie, and is trying to get some information out of her about, any sort of clues. And she lets on that her sister Darlene had this one, really weird boyfriend who was giving her all these gifts and whatever, and it kind of sounds like, and bragged about killing someone. It sounds like, oh, maybe this could be the Zodiac. And so Graysmith is like trying to force her to remember the name. And he, this is when they're focused on this guy, Rick Marshall, as being the Zodiac. So he's like, the name was Rick. And she's like, no. He's like, are you sure it was Rick? It wasn't Rick. And he's, because he's like, at this point, he's so deep in, he's lost his wife and everything. He's so obsessed. And then, she's like, no, it wasn't Rick. And he just like resigns and gives up. And he starts walking away, and she goes, it was Lee. And it's just like this great mic drop moment because, of course, we know that Lee is John Carroll Lynch's character that was the earlier suspect that got ruled out because of the handwriting sample not matching up. And it's a moment where it all just sort of clicks into place, and, it ends up following up with him going to Dave Totsky's door and knocking on it and saying, hey, we got to get, it was Lee Allen. And so, it's a great satisfying moment, a great satisfying scene that really rewards the journey that you go on with this case. They could have the case is unsolved. They could have very easily just left it open, right? Been true to the facts and said, we don't know who it is. But I like that they took a point of view and a perspective and said, hey, we think based on the clues, and, Fincher and James Vanderbilt really did their research on this movie. We think it was Lee Allen. And, we think we've made a convincing case against him. So it's satisfying maybe in ways that these types of movies aren't necessarily always, especially when you consider how the true story has gone. So amazing film, great scene.
Yeah, this one, when I saw this on your list, it was kind of baffling because the scene isn't bad, but I think it's a solid moment, but I don't see it as like because it's like a dun dun duh kind of scene, but I think this movie's filled with those, and I think there's some that just have more like energy or emotion or whatever. So I just this wasn't the moment in the movie that stood out to me. I know it's kind of an important moment for in the case of that character, but just as far as the scene itself, didn't do a ton for me. Everybody else on the scene from Zodiac.
I'm really big on Zodiac. It was in my top 100. I would think it was in my top 30. I think the movie's absolutely brilliant. I'm same way. Like, hint, there might be more for me coming up from this movie, but I struggled with picking scenes too. But this was not close to my list. I liked the scene a lot, but overall, it wasn't the one that I had to go with.
Yeah, I did have a few Zodiac scenes in mind, and I did struggle a lot with picking which one, if any of them, are on this list. But this wasn't one of the ones I thought of. But I'm glad you brought it up because it did remind me of how much I do really like the scene.
It's been a while since I've seen this, so I can't really remember the scene itself. But the way Scott was describing it, it was like, oh, that's actually kind of cool. But yeah, I do need to rewatch Zodiac. It's been like 8 years. So, but yeah.
Okay, this brings us to the top 3 of the night. Jack, we'll come back to you, number 93.
All right. I'm sorry, Scott. My number 93 is Live with Murray Franklin from Joker. Some Cody. All right. This scene is phenomenal. I think this is one of the best acted scenes in the last. Well, in the year it came out, definitely one of the best acted scenes. Joaquin Phoenix is giving his all in this scene. Well, in the whole film, but in this scene in particular, his interview with Murray goes from Murray throwing some almost playful jabs at Arthur about, and then the second you see Arthur turn, you see him turn, and you just go, "Oh no, something bad is going to happen." And you knew something bad was going to happen the whole time, but when he finally, also spoiler alert for people that haven't seen Joker, but you've seen Joker, so whatever. When he shoots Murray, this scene is just takes such a turn. It's one of the craziest theater viewing experiences I've had. I saw it with a bunch of my friends, and then that moment happens, and all of us just fly back in our seats. And I saw it the next day with Cam, and seeing him react the exact same way was just a whole lot of fun. But it's a brilliant moment in this film. I love it to pieces.
This scene is tough because it's become such a meme that it's hard to judge it on its own merits. It's a well done scene. It's a well acted scene. I think my biggest problem with it is my problem with the movie in general, especially in the third act. I know he's the main character of the movie, but I just don't feel like you should be sympathizing at all with the Joker. And I don't think he's necessarily sympathetic, but I think they give him a platform, I guess. And it's not just this scene; it's other things in the movie where it's like the Joker should, like, I don't want to. I just feel too comfortable with the Joker. I know too well where he's coming from by the end of the scene. And to me, that's not the Joker. Like to me, the Joker is, what Heath Ledger does, where you just never know what he's going to do next. And I mean, he shoots Murray, and I mean, I think that was the right move for the character. But I think other than that, I think it's just too much. Like I said, it's I don't know. It's hard to explain how I feel about this. Again, it's not a bad movie scene. I think it's on a technical level, it's very well. It's just one of those things where I think for the character, it was a little bit the wrong direction. But I understand why you would enjoy it. Everybody else saw Murray Franklin from the Joker.
I'd like to hit Scott opinion first on this one, to be honest.
Oh, I was going to say I'll go last, but yeah, I mean a couple of things. I mean, first of all, it's taken from other movies, right? You know, this is network. This is the king of comedy. Like, we've seen this thing before. We've seen most things in Joker before. Two, this is just pure shock value, if we're being honest. Like, the movie, kind of, as Kirk is alluding to, it doesn't really have anything to say. It is just a big cynical shrug. And this scene is the embodiment of that. Rather than go somewhere interesting, it goes in, the direction to, get that moment, right, that Jack's talking about, where you fly back in your seat because, oh, wow, he went there. The horrible act of violence has been committed. But it doesn't mean anything. Nothing in Joker really does.
I like the scene. It's all right. It's just like, it's not one that holds any sort of like emotional weight or like impact, I guess. A lot of people love the shit out of the scene, but which is fair. But I just I've never really had much of a reaction to this thing, other than he killed him and he said, "You want to hear a joke or whatever."
It's like this whole movie in general is 50%. It's cool to hate it. It's cool to like it at the same time. Overall, I like the movie a whole lot. I think the movie is interesting in the world of creating the Joker character as is. The reason why I think the Murray Franklin scene works is because at that time, no one knows what he's done. Only he knows what he's done. And they brought him there to laugh at him. And he gets the final gag. And anarchy basically ensues after that. And like, I think that's the brilliance of the scene. I think the shock, that he kills Franklin at the end, which is like, everybody's like, I kind of like, I don't know. You don't have to be like a complex, like, to figure out which way that was going. I think that was pretty much telegraphed pretty quickly what was going to happen, especially like when that previous in that scene, they introduce him and he's like, "Hey, will you call me Joker? That's what you called me on your show. Call me Joker." And like brought him out there to like publicly humiliate him, and he got the last laugh. I mean, overall, say what you want. I think the scene's good. The only reason I didn't pick the scene is because I think it was, I think what Kirk said, it's been memed to death at this point. And my overall thing is I love Joker like as is, but I couldn't narrow down a scene that I absolutely love from like I love a lot of the scenes, and I would be picking a ton at that point. There's like one in the apartment that I would say I think is the best scene, but overall, I'm glad you guys brought it up so you can talk. And Scott hates you more than he hates me, so that's perfect.
All right, Cody, that takes us to your 93.
So yikes for this episode. I did the highway chase, Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Does anybody else? This? Besides Scott? Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I still think this is like one of the best sequels that has ever been made. And I think it's what they're able to accomplish. It's basically what Terminator. It's kind of Cameron's like calling card when he does like sequels. Really, like the first one could be. I think the first Terminator is a horror movie. I think absolutely 100%. Like basically thriller horror. Like it is intense. Blah blah. This one. More of an action movie. He flips on his head. Same thing he does with Alien and Aliens, regardless how you feel about it. I think this one where it works. I don't like Aliens as much as I love Alien, but this one I think it almost improves. It carries that story, and this scene where they're able to build on like talk about practical effects. Those are the most brilliant things, what they're able to do with the scene and create such an intense chase down the scene. And like I've looked at the backstory of like how they were able to like film this scene and like how they basically had to redirect the water so it doesn't go down there. So because they had to drive through this thing and make it scene. And basically it takes Terminator and makes him a good guy at this one. So you basically, the guy you were terrified in the first one is now the guy you got to trust. I think it's just brilliant. And the giant, 18-wheeler just coming off that bridge, like launching down, is just one of the coolest shots in film history. I didn't want to put it too high because I think it's one of those action scenes that gets talked about a lot, so I didn't want to, but I feel like wrong if I don't include this because I think this is arguably one of the best action scenes that's ever been filmed. Scott?
So this is actually kind of funny because I think there are two highway chase scenes, and Cody picked one of them, and I actually was intending to pick the other one because you chose the one that happens during the daytime, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm picking the one that happens at the end of the movie. When
I knew this was going to happen on the show.
Yeah, I had a feeling because I was like, you were describing. I was like, wait, which highway chase?
Yeah, that's fine. I guess I should have clarified now in retrospect. But anyway, I have the one when they're heading to the steel factory at the end of the movie. It starts off with the T-1000 in the helicopter, in the police helicopter, like chasing after them. And, Arnold is like, Sarah gets shot in the leg, first of all, but then Arnold is like pulling out the shotgun and firing them. Basically, he ends up having to like turn the van on its side. They end up like each having to switch cars, like, one of them's in a pickup truck, and again, they're firing the shotgun out of it. It's all about the practical effects. And I wanted to have a Cameron scene on here because I do love him so much as a filmmaker. And I couldn't just put like the second half of Titanic, which is like one scene, but so this is the one. I mean, yeah, the practical effects are the best that have ever been, probably. And that just adds so much to the scene, in my opinion. It's not just like the principle of it, like, because it looks like, that's a real helicopter crashing, right? That's a real truck crashing. Like, you feel it when you are watching the scene. But also it's at a point in the movie when what is happening with the characters, which again, I think is what is so strong about Terminator 2 is the character work as well, means a lot too. So while you are, engrossed in the action, you're also worried about Sarah and John and, the Terminator and what's going to happen. And it ends with them like skidding into the steel factory. Just a great ending.
All right. Yeah, we knew this would probably happen. We were talking about scenes. It's not as clean as movies. It's not as clean as performances. Some wonky stuff might happen like that. That's okay. We'll talk about both of them. I also assumed we were only talking about Cody's scene. So I didn't rewatch yours, Scott. I do remember it's really good. My biggest memory is of him him busting into the windshield of the helicopter and pouring in, and that effect. I thought it was really cool. But no, it's a great scene too. But yeah, the truck chase is, like you said, just the fact that they like really closed down the LA River. They were really driving through it, and just that truck coming down. This is like towards the beginning of the movie where you really start to figure out what's going on with the original Terminator versus the new one, and just coming to that realization, and then having this scene be how that part of the story is told is really cool. So I think both solid picks from a solid movie. Jake and Jack, do you got opinions on either one of these scenes?
I really do like the beginning chase, or the chase in the I don't know what you want to call that, but the initial chase, the opening that Cody's talking about. It's really well done. But I do really love the highway chase, or Scott's choice, a lot. As far as just like, this is like in the climax, and this is it. This is like no holds barred with. This is it. There's going to be a definitive ending to these characters at some point. I absolutely love when Arnold gives, or the T-800 gives John Connor control of the wheel while he gets out of the truck onto the hood of the the liquid nitrogen truck, and then just shoots a bunch of bullets into the T-1000. Completely real. There was no wires. Arnold Schwarzenegger actually did that. It was extremely dangerous, and James Cameron says that he would have never done that ever again, or would have if he realized how dangerous that would have been. But he did it because that's why Arnold Schwarzenegger is a fucking movie star and made so much money for that movie. Incredible stuff.
I do love the highway chase, like the night chase at the end. But when I think of this movie, the first scene that pops into my head is the chase with the 18-wheeler and the motorcycle. Just an incredible moment. I remember, it took me a long time to finally see this movie, and when I finally saw it, I was completely oblivious to the Arnold is a good guy in this movie early movie twist, just because I had avoided a lot of spoilers like the plague for this. And so seeing that happen and just being utterly shocked is just so much fun to see. Arnold's great in both scenes. So.
All right, got that straightened out. Jake, you're 93.
My number 93. I imagine this will probably get yikes. I've called this the "You're Going the Wrong Way" scene from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yikes! Mess around, also, as I call it. So yes.
All right, Scott, you're 93.
This might be a yikes as well. I have "Drive It Like You Stole It" from Sing Street. All right, cool. I don't even know that this is my favorite song in Sing Street, even though I feel like it is like the conventional favorite. I think I like Up maybe a little bit more, but as a scene, this is like the scene because it's the whole fantasy, like Back to the Future-ish style, fantasizing about the perfect scenario of what's going to happen at the dance, right? Which is that everyone's happy again, right? His brother's going to show up wearing the cool jacket. His parents are going to be back together. Of course, Rafina's going to be there and like in love with him and everything. And it's all about the fantasy of the moment. And the song is like so great and upbeat and matches like the carefree recklessness sort of what he's fantasizing about. And the costumes, the production design, all of it just is perfect in this scene. And it just really captures the heartfeltness, which I think is, so great about this movie and which resonates and which keeps me coming back to this movie over and over again. So the combination of the song, the technical aspects, and like what it emotionally means for Connor and the other characters is why it's so meaningful.
Cool. All right, yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. For me definitely isn't the best song in the movie, but I think it is one of the best scenes. I don't know if it would be my favorite, but it's definitely up there. But yeah, just like you said, how like it transitions into the fantasy, how it's set up, how he's like, have you seen Back to the Future? And then like it goes into like a Back to the Future scene, and just how that ties into like all the different 80s connections that their different songs and different parodies have. And just how it shows you like the psyche of the character, like you said, like how he wants this, like everything that he wants, like what's on his mind, what's weighing on him, what does he want to see resolved. I think that's a really good job to just of how they show like into his mind. Not just just with everybody. And my favorite part is like when it like smash cuts back to like reality.
Mhm.
And you had like it's like this giant dance number, and then you smash cut, and it's just like these like half a dozen Scottish kids like dancing, or Irish kids
Empty gym, yeah.
dancing really bad. I think that's just such a great edit. But no, yeah, like I mean, you could pick any song. You could have picked any song from this movie or any scene of a song, and I definitely would have given you a pass because I think they're all really good. But this one's definitely towards the top. Everybody else on Drive It Like You Stole It.
I haven't seen Sinistry, but I like the song a lot.
I haven't seen it.
I'm surprised you're still in the Kingsman. Overall, I don't hate the movie. I don't love the movie, but this is a great scene from the movie. I wouldn't have put it on my list, but it definitely deserves a spot for the people that like this movie a lot. So, good choice.
All right, Jack, number 92.
All right. My number 92 is the car/train chase from The French Connection, where Popeye Doyle's chasing the elevated train. This scene is incredible. Easily one of the greatest chase scenes in film. Words? No, I can't think of. Can't think of words. This. You look up how they shot this scene, like how the scene was shot, how they tried to get permits to shoot it, but they to close streets, but they weren't allowed to, so they just shot it anyway. And there's actual unplanned collisions in the scene. I can't think of actor's name. Popeye Doyle.
Gene
Popeye
Hackman.
Doyle. Yeah, Gene Hackman. Thank you. Why the hell am I? Why did I blank on his name? I don't know. Gene Hackman is just great in this film, specifically this one scene. And when it, spoiler alert for whoever hasn't seen The French Connection, when he finally catches the train and he shoots the hitman in the back, just an ultimate satisfying moment in that movie. I was not sure what to expect going into it, but it more than lived up to the hype for me. The scene is incredible.
I came to this movie really late, and this scene suffers from severe overhype for me because my whole life I was told this is the greatest chase scene you've ever seen. This is the greatest chase scene ever put to film, and I watched it and I'm like, yeah, that's all right. I think the behind the scenes stuff that you mentioned is much more interesting. And when you watch it, than the actual scene. And when you watch it with that lens, knowing that, like, it's cooler to watch. But I don't think anything that happens here lives up to the hype. It's a cool chase scene, but I think I've seen better 70s action movie chase scenes than what's here. So, again, not a terrible scene, but I don't know if it's top 100 worthy personally, and I just don't think it's as great as everybody says it is. Everybody else on the French Connection chase.
Well, now that this is on the list, I can't wait for Steve McQueen's Bullet to make the list for car chase scenes that end up on like a top 100 scenes list for everybody.
Well, they're good scenes.
The French, yeah, but at the end of the day, they're there because of what they were accomplished at the time. Overall, they're better chase scenes now put in film. Again, they start with something and technology gets better. And that's why phones are better than what they used to be. Anyways, on this is I'm the same way with Kirk. French Connection, I've never understood the hype. I think this movie is a bad movie, if we're being real. I do not like this movie at all. I think it's a complete overhype of what this movie is. But I'm the same way. I've had grandparents, I've had everybody tell me, like, this is the movie. This ain't the movie. This is not the movie. I've had my grandfather tell me more about the French Connection than he did The Godfather. So I think what it did, what was able to accomplish, like the setup and stuff, if this was behind the scenes, sure, I think that's very cool. Yeah, go ahead, Paul. I'll attend your film theory class or your breakdowns one day, but other than that, I don't think it's relevant. Overall, just it's one of those typical things I expected when people like search scenes, and this would have been on there. Not for me.
Honestly, Okay. I honestly can't remember whether I've seen this movie or not. I think I saw it maybe like years ago on AMC or something, but I really don't have that much memory of it. Of course, I know that this is like, hyped as the greatest car chase of all time, but I don't remember it, so I can't really comment on it.
Yeah, I haven't seen the whole movie. I've seen chunks of it on TV just every now and then. But I have seen the scene. I think it's a really good scene. I mean, it reinvented the whole car chase, like for like the modern sort of realistic, for the way it uses camera placements and the cinematography, and the way they. Well, yeah, that's a good point. When I completely lost my thought. Thanks, stupid.
Check and mate. That's all I have to say. Check and mate. Correct.
Hey, Holtzman.
He just made my
dead inside.
I'm not even talking about Baby Driver, but I'm just saying new check and mate. Thank you. That was perfect. Thanks, Holtzman.
All right. That was 92. We are on to Cody's 92.
I say all that shit that I have my 92. Okay, so no one will tell me that this scene is not one of the most incredible scenes of all time for my age. When I saw this, there was a movie from a director that I despise. I think he's a human piece of garbage of a director. I don't think he should ever touch film again.
Who? It's Wes Anderson.
But he made one movie and one absolute scene that I still to this day love. This is madness. No, this is Sparta from 300. I love this scene, and I will always love this scene. When he comes in and he's just like, you should have chosen your words better. He called my wife, and then like the kick, the slow-mo, everything Snyder has like built his career on is in this scene, and it works. It works so well. I just think me talking shit about the French Connection's like car scene. I picked This Is Sparta as my next one, but overall I stand by it. Just like how it's completely like set up and stuff, and then just. Now everybody's crying in my house. It's a great day. But no, the slow motion kick down of the thing because it just turns really quick because he shows up at the thing and they're having this meeting. And of course, everybody it's coming. Everybody the thing is like it like flips so quickly and like everybody in Sparta just has like a perfect giant hole, giant pit in their town to kick people down, and they were standing right in front of it. So, yeah, This Is Sparta. I watched it last night, and I was like, this is perfect. It should be higher, but to save myself, I put it at 92 because overall, I could have had this in the top 40 and justified it.
This is rough because I remember watching this in 2006 and being like, that's pretty cool. I mean, this is like in the Joker category where it's like super meme now, but like, yeah, I'm like for 300, I think there might be some other scenes I'd put on here if I want to do, but yeah, it's a good, like, great character moment for Leonidas. Like, it tells you exactly what he's all about. So I'm not, it's not a good scene, but I'm not going to rank it with the cold for it too hard. Good. It's kind of good in its badness. So everybody else on This Is Sparta for 300.
Yes.
I've never seen the movie. I've seen the scene a bunch of times and so many stupid YouTube edits and all that stuff. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Exactly what Jake just said. Haven't seen the film, seen the scene more times than I can count. I want to see it someday. I own it on Blu-ray. I just haven't seen it.
And I also haven't seen the movie. For once, Cody and I agree about a director sucking.
Who's here?
All right, Jake, you're 92.
Well, everyone really liked that I had a scene from Hulk. So let's have another scene from Hulk.
Hey, Todd? What the fuck?
I mean, I don't know if what it's gonna say in the banner, but Kirk had to like ask specifically what the scene is. Cool. That is the scene I'm talking about. Puny human. Hulk makes it to San Francisco, and then he's attacked by a bunch of planes. He saves one of the planes from crashing into the bridge. He's still a hero at heart. And the plane goes really way up high into the atmosphere, causing Hulk to fall into the ocean. I know, right? And he has this whole sort of dream, moment inside his head, where Bruce Banner is shaving in the bathroom, and he sees he sees something in the mirror, and it's all foggy, and he wipes it away, and there's the Hulk copying his motions. It's duality of man shit, and then he grabs and smashes through the mirror and it says "puny human," and then they both sort of combine, and then the scene continues. Just a really cool scene. We don't, even just not in this movie, but just in the other Hulk movies, we don't really see Bruce Banner and Hulk interact. And this is that one moment between them, because they're two different conscious. So I just like the idea that we see the duality of the character, of both characters, and how they have this sort of moment. And the fact that Hulk says puny human, I just love. I really want to talk about this moment. It's just, I find it really cool. So, yeah.
I get that you like the internal struggle thing, but there's a lot of other crap in this scene too. Take everything I said about your last Hulk scene and multiply it by 10 by this. It just Hulk looks so bad in this. And I mean, it's an action scene, so I'm basing it on the visuals. That scene where he's climbing up the airplane, and his giant head is just takes up the whole cockpit. It's
He's a big boy.
It looks so bad, and you can't get away from that. Holy crap, Jake! This is already too many Hulk scenes.
Emotional, damn it!
Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna make it through this whole thing. Yeah, two Hulk scenes, man. We're only in week one. Crap. Anybody else have anything to say about this? Anybody else remember this scene? Let alone what I'm talking
about? One wrong puny human scene from said by a Hulk, but that's fine. And also, is there any more Hulk scenes on your list?
Can I? Yes.
Oh my god, the way that you just said, oh, that's terrible. That is awful. Gosh. Jack, congratulations. You have a clear cut not entering last this time. There's
Vindication.
So, yeah, that's crazy. I could, as soon as he started telling me the scene, I don't remember the airplane climb, but the wipe and the puny human. Gosh, that was bad in 2003. So, I bet age did not help that scene.
I have nothing new to add from the last Hulk scene, but go off.
You have not started watching that? Why?
Yeah. As soon as we're done here, I'm gonna fire it up.
I've got nothing to add. I'm just confusion.
When Jack has nothing to say about your list, that's great.
All right, Scott 92.
I have Chuck Yeager breaking the sound barrier from The Right Stuff.
I'm sorry.
Chuck Yeager.
I didn't write these. Blame Koho.
I mean, to be fair, he kind of does when you watch the scene. He goes somewhere else for a minute once the plane gets really fast. But it's funny that Top Gun Maverick came up, because actually the first scene of Top Gun Maverick, where Maverick is trying to get to 10G, is literally this scene from The Right Stuff, where Chuck Yeager or Sam Shepard is trying to there you go, is trying to break the sound barrier, and it's just thrilling to watch. And this version is even better than the Top Gun version, because it's 1982, so they didn't have the same effects or whatever to make it look so sleek, and so the plane is rattling, and the meters and everything are going off the chart, and then Chuck Yeager starts to go outside of himself basically because because he's going so fast and it's messing with him. And you don't know, like, is he going to come out of it okay? Like, is he going to, because he loses control of the plane for a little bit. Like, is he going to be able to gain control? Obviously, it's based on a true story, but probably not one that everyone necessarily knows. Like Chuck Yeager's not necessarily a household name even here in the U.S. But this is a really like episodic movie, and this is the first episode in the movie is like just Chuck Yeager's quest to do this, and like after several failed attempts and everything. So it's a great sort of like triumph of the human spirit moment as well, because of course he does make it out of there okay. In general, this movie is phenomenal, and it should be talked about more, I think, like in the community and everything, if more people had seen it. So, yeah, I love this scene and movie. What are we doing?
I have not seen this movie since I was a young kid, but when I did see it, I saw it a lot. It was like on HBO all the time, and my parents watched it pretty religiously. And this is the one scene I remember. Like, I don't have like super clear memories of it, but I remember this scene, so that's something about it. Unless you describe it, I went back and I tried to watch it online. I think the scene I watched might have been edited down because it was a lot shorter. It didn't really contain everything you're talking about, so I'm gonna go check it out again.
Yeah.
And maybe find a better version. But like I said, it's something that stuck with me all these years, so that definitely says something for your scene. Everybody else on Cuck Breaking the Right Stuff.
I've never seen the movie.
I've not seen the movie. Scott, who plays Chuck Yeager? Is that Ed Harris? Or is that
Sam Shepard?
It's Shepard. Okay, cool. I was just wondering because I was like, if it was Ed Harris, that would have been a cool.
He plays John. I think Ed Harris plays John Glenn.
John Glenn. That makes sense. Yeah. Cool. Just wanted to make sure. I mean, I've not seen the movie. So.
Haven't seen it. Heard of it, but I'm interested now.
All right. That brings us to the number ones for the night, the 91s, starting with Jack.
All right. This is a very personal scene to me. I get it's not for everyone. However, I love Hacksaw Ridge, and my favorite scene in that film is the Help Me Get One More scene. This scene is fucking phenomenal. Andrew Garfield giving his all in this scene. Basically in the scene, the Japanese soldiers had a surprise attack on the Americans early in the morning, and they all go back over the ridge except for Desmond Doss, played by Andrew Garfield, and he goes back and he saves 75 more soldiers, and you see the struggle that he goes through in this scene. You see there's some really sweet moments in it too, like the guy that said I thought I was blind. Just a really touching moment, and Andrew Garfield just giving the performance of his life in this. I love this scene so much.
This is a really good pick. I would like to see it as well. I think, first of all, Andrew Garfield does play it so great. This is a really good role for him. And I also, it's just such a great payoff for the character because the entire movie is basically people are telling him how useless he's going to be with his beliefs and his convictions, how he's not going to be any help to anybody. And then he's able to pull this off, and he's the only one who can do it. I just love how he keeps going back, and I love the touch where he's like, even sending out the Japanese soldiers, and they're like, oh, none of them made it, but just shows you just how strong his convictions are. So yeah, I think the movie itself is hit or miss, but holy crap, what a great ending. Everybody else on Help Me Get One More, Hacksaw Ridge.
I've seen this movie. I know I've seen this movie. I cannot even tell you what this scene is. I cannot remember details and scenes from this movie because it has completely left my brain because of how unimportant this movie is to me.
The movie itself, yeah, but this is the scene to choose if you're going to choose one. It didn't make my list, but unlike unlike Jake that forgot everything about the movie, this is the one scene that I definitely remember from the movie because it's the one thing that makes the movie like. We said this about other movies. I won't bring it up, but like there's like a 5-star scene in like a 4 or 3-star movie. This is like that. To me, I think the movie overall is not good, but this is the scene that elevates it to a point. So yeah.
Oh, thank you, Chris. That's very kind.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the movie.
You and Google helped you out on this list.
But that, Cody, again, that's what we're doing here. You know, it doesn't have to be a great movie; just has to be a great scene. And with that, we go to your 91.
Okay, so my 91, again, horror, not my cup of tea. This one had to be on there. I don't know if I'll talk about it, but we'll see. I went with The Sunken Place. Get Out. I think overall, when you talk about a scene like that, where she is sitting across, somebody help me with the actress's name.
Catherine
Keener.
Catherine Keener, when she's sitting there with the cup and they're just talking about it, and he is just a phenomenal actor. I don't think he even gets the credit that he deserves of like how, because he doesn't have anything to really do in the scene besides sit there and like have this blank stare and like the tears that roll down his face, and she just keeps stirring that tea and then sink into the floor, and the entire shot and everything that's happening is like one of the coolest moments. I think this movie gets very overhyped, like it gets to a degree, so I understand, especially in either if it hasn't calmed down to this point for people. But when you talk about the scene alone and like the helpless feeling that I had watching the scene for the first time, because I mean, this just ruined so many guys from going to their girlfriend's family's houses. Like, absolutely, you don't trust in-laws or relationship at any point. Like, he just went and he just having a normal conversation, and she's like digging into his past, and like having these emotional arcs. I'm like, what? You couldn't get away, and like you just see the tears roll. And then the sound is so creepy because the questioning gets more and more intense, and you hear the spoon against the cup more and more until it finally taps. And I think it just builds the right amount of suspense in this movie, and this is one of those scenes that he deserves the credit for. Like, Jordan Peele is like Hitchcock now to people. But like with this, I think he deserves like what he was able to achieve in this movie right here. So The Sunken Place is mine.
Yeah, this is a solid scene because this is just a movie where you know something's off, and the main character knows something's off, but you don't know what, and you're on that journey with them to figure out. And this is a scene where you don't get the answers, but it kind of takes that next step. And build it up, like you said, build up. His performance is so good. Just getting back into this is like the reveal of like his history, right? Like this is the first time you hear about like when he was a kid, what happened.
Yeah.
And so just him going through that, and just sitting there, and like you said, the sound design is great with that scraping sound, just that like monotonous, just continuously scraping. And him just sitting there, and then you get that tear, and then it drops. You know, he drops into that. You're like, okay, is this something supernatural? What's happening here? So you know now it's another level, but there's still a huge mystery of what's causing this. So yeah, really, really, like I said, I agree with you, Cody. I think the movie is a little overhyped, but the scene is just so perfectly crafted. So definitely a good choice for your list. Everybody else on The Sunken Place.
I mean, great iconic scene. I think it was bound to show up on somebody's list. I am also kind of surprised it was on Cody's, but hey, I think it deserved to be mentioned, even if it didn't make my list. Not all of the horror stuff in this movie actually works for me, but that's more towards the end. I think this scene, early on, works really well for the reasons that you guys have mentioned. Like, Jordan Peele is really using like the whole medium, from the sound design, the look of it, the performers. He's using all of that and maximizing the terrifying effect of what's going on.
Yeah, I love the concept of The Sunken Place. It's like so terrifying to me, like the whole idea behind it. And I think what Peele really like visually pulls off what it would look like and how it's presented. Yeah, I mean, really good scene. You also just find out a lot about Chris during that scene and how his mom died in the hit and run crash and how that sort of traumas is there with him. Just yeah, really, really good stuff.
We lost Jack.
We did lose Jack. I assume.
Yeah, I made a bet to myself about 4 internet failures in the first couple weeks, and I'm already up on 1, so I'm pretty good at covering that bet.
All right, well, we'll come back to him.
No, he's here.
Oh, he is?
Oh, sorry, Holtzman.
Okay, Jack, what do you got on the sunken place?
Great scene. Didn't quite make my list, but honestly, if I were to add something on like last night, that would probably be it because it's a fantastic scene. Sorry, my internet just crapped out for a second there.
That's all right. Jake, give us your number 91.
This, I've had a lot of funny, goofy sort of scenes. I think I'm going to go a little bit more dramatic, a little more serious on this one. Might surprise some people. I'm going with a scene from The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. Carmen calls her dad.
Hey, Todd? What the fuck?
This movie's incredible. This is a really, really powerful scene. So just a little bit of context. Carmen, played by America Ferrera, is visiting her dad for the summer holidays. And to her surprise, he's currently engaged to a white woman with her two kids. And throughout the trip, he's constantly neglecting her, and he's acting like a completely different person, and doesn't. And she's just completely like confused, and it's kind of mad at her. So there's a point where she leaves him, and she decides to give him a phone call, and she just says like, I'm mad at you, Dad. Like, is there something wrong with me? Am I not the daughter that you want me to be? Like, one of the kids sees his dad like every week. I see you twice a year. And it's a really powerful scene, and just the emotional sort of moments that America Ferrera. See, fucking knew I was gonna get someone. America Ferrera is just gut wrenching. It's just she's just tears and just all the emotion that she's giving. Like, I'm mad at you, Dad, and I just want to know: is there something wrong with me? Do you not love me the way you love your new family? And Bradley Whitford plays the dad, and I'm no Caleb Boatman. I'm not saying he's like the second coming of Christ, but he's really good in how understated he is. Like, he's just like, he feels like devastated, like what he has done. And all he can say is that he just whispers, I'm sorry. And then like, that's it. That's the whole phone call. And I'm just a really powerful scene. And like, this film was never going to get any Oscar attention, but like, and I don't want to be a Kingsman, but like, I think Carmen like could have definitely, America Ferrera definitely is like really Oscar worthy in that scene, and really powerful stuff. And it's a scene that really like connects with me. Really, really powerful stuff.
Okay, full disclosure, I haven't seen the movie. I read the plot synopsis, and then so I had context.
I should have told you to watch the movie.
And then I watched the scene. Is there a different Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants that you watched? Because in this scene, America Ferrera is actively terrible. It is like amateur hour performance. It is bad. It's like she's reading cue cards or something. She is really, really bad in this scene. Bradley Whitford, you talk about, he's barely, I don't even see his face. Like, the camera's over his shoulder, and he's just like this. He's like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And that's the entirety of his performance. And she is just god awful. She's like just over. It's like I can't even describe how bad she is. She's just really, really. And again, she may be great in the rest of the movie, and I really haven't seen her much, so she might be a great actress overall. But she sucks in this scene. Go look it up on YouTube if anybody doesn't believe me. She's really bad. So I just don't understand how this is on your list, because there are a million movies with a million scenes like this that are better, with more emotional, oomph and better performances. So how this one got here, I don't know. Has anybody else seen this? And does anybody else have any comment on this, on the scene?
So I haven't seen it, so I'm not going to judge you for it. I'm just confused.
Well, I don't care.
I haven't heard the title, The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, since my sisters brought this movie up in 2004 in the book. I haven't seen it. I have no clue, like, whatsoever. This is my favorite thing about YLS, and it will always be my favorite thing, is when somebody just passionately, so hard, like heartfelt love, and they make like this delicious dish and put it out in front, and then a fucking semi runs the fucking thing over. That was Kirk on this, and I just couldn't stop. Not that I agree or disagree, I was just dying because he's like, "Oh, it's Oscar worthy." Fucking terrible. Like, it's complete polar opposite. So I'm just shocked this came up, and how this beat Hulk. I'm really confused.
It's great movie.
I'm really shocked. I definitely took Kirk for a big Ugly Betty fan, but I haven't seen this movie either. I would say the same thing that I said about Hulk, though. It seems like a movie that I would probably enjoy, if we're being quite honest. I think everyone here could probably acknowledge that. So I'm definitely not.
Hulk generally loves the movie, and I feel like he's great at recommending movies. So
I'm not going to yuck Jake's pick here, certainly.
All right, Scott, you get to close us out for the night. What is your number 91?
All right, my number 91, the greatest road rage scene of all time, which is from David Lynch's Lost Highway. So this is I was going to say it's a weird movie, but that probably goes without saying. It's kind of split into two halves, and the first half is this really like dark and disturbing, surreal story about Bill Pullman getting a bunch of videotapes of his house. And then it, like, halfway through, and I don't want to say too much, but it becomes something different. It's about Balthazar Getty, and it becomes this sort of small town classic Lynch, Twin Peaksy style thing. And it has all of these small town oddities and stuff going on. And one of the oddities is this guy, Mr. Eddie, played by Robert Loggia, who is we quickly discover is like a mob boss and is friends with quote unquote friends with Balthazar Getty's character. Balthazar Getty is a mechanic and helps him out with his car and stuff. And one day he decides to take him on a drive, the two of them and like three of Robert Loggia's goons, and somebody ends up tailgating them on a mountain. And Robert Loggia, this is the moment where we finally see like this guy is crazy and he's a mob boss and all this stuff. And he runs the car off the road. All of them like pull out their guns. They rip the guy out of the car, like, are pistol whipping him basically. And Robert Loggia is just screaming in his face like about how much he hates tailgaters and what he's going to do to him and kill him and everything. And this was something that Joseph Olivas pointed out to me, so credit to him. But Robert Loggia was actually supposed to originally play Frank Booth in Blue Velvet, but David Lynch changed his mind at the last moment and cast Dennis Hopper instead. And apparently Robert Loggia was really pissed, made an angry phone call to David Lynch about it. And so David Lynch gave him this role. And you can almost see in this scene Robert Loggia letting out all of his anger from not getting cast in, the iconic Frank Booth role from Blue Velvet. And obviously this didn't turn out to be as iconic of a role, but he is amazing in this scene and honestly in the whole movie. And it's so funny. I got to see this movie, the 4K restoration, at my local indie theater a couple of months ago, and everyone in the theater was just busting out laughing in this scene. It's it shows you how deft that Lynch can be with humor, and it just kind of comes out of nowhere in this movie.
Yeah, I was reading that same story that you were saying about what happened with Blue Velvet, and actually what happened, from what I understand, is that Robert Loggia just went off on a tirade on David Lynch for what happened with Blue Velvet, and when Lynch made this movie, he called Robert Loggia and said, "I want to cash his role," and he told him, "Just do what you did in that scene." So what Robert Loggia is doing in that scene is actually, I guess, pretty close to what he did to David Lynch, at least verbally. But no, I watched this, and I've been wanting to watch this movie for a long time, so this is my excuse to watch it. I mean, I don't know if it's top 100 worthy. But I can see just from the entertainment value, I think there are better scenes with just freakouts like this. But no, Loggia's a guy where he could pull something like this off. And just to see him, like you see him like in stuff like Big and stuff, and he's not always this over the top, but to see him really go was a lot of fun. So again in your 90s, I won't hit you for this one too hard. Anybody else seen Lost Highway?
I should see every David Lynch movie. I have not yet, unfortunately. I do like Eraserhead a lot. Like I just need to really get into Lynch. I will watch this eventually.
So David Lynch is a director I feel like I would really like. I just haven't seen any of his movies. Just based on what I know about his films, they seem like movies I'd be really interested in. But I haven't seen this yet, so not gonna hold it against you.
Wait, you haven't seen this movie? What?
Okay, so that's the end of the night. I have to name some winners. I mean, we made it through unscathed, but
I mean, that's so sugarcoated.
nothing jumping off. Well, we'll get to you, Jake. I'm talking about everybody else right now. Nothing really blew me out of the water. There's nothing. I mean, it's your 90s, so I'm not looking for the greatest movies ever, but I think it's very close. Very close. I think just averaging out quality I've ever seen by a hair in first place is Cody. You had the snapping that we talk about it. Halloween was really strong. Top Gun Maverick was really strong. You got a couple other ones that were really good that were yikes. Sunken Place is good. T2. Close second. I'm going to go with Jack. I think Jack had some really good picks. He had Hacksaw Ridge, American in Paris. Patton was really strong. Matrix was really strong. So I think Jack's list is pretty good. So it's a strong start for Jack. Jack, did you finish as high as 2 at any point during performances?
Oh, absolutely not. No, highest I got was the week you judged, and I got 3rd.
Well, there you go. So you're turning things around already.
So Kirk bias, I see. Okay, fair.
A close 3rd. Again, top 3 were close. Is Scott. You had some good stuff on. I think you just had some stuff that fell a little flat for me. The Zodiac scene, the Lost Highway scene. So some of these just weren't really that strong for me. But again, like I said, nobody was really super strong this week. So the top 3 are kind of bunched up. 4th place is Jake. Jake, you had some highs there. You had RoboCop. I like that one. We didn't get to talk about the Murder Edition is strong, but you gave me 2 Hulks in the Venom. And
that's why it's in the 90s. Like I'm getting
Sisterhood.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We got 2 Hulk. Are there any other times we're going to get more than 1 Hulk? Don't tell me it's your 90s.
One more time.
Don't tell me it's your 90s, Jake. Great start to the show, everybody. Had a lot of fun. Thank you for everybody for watching. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Cody. Thank you, Jake. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Cameron Holtzman. Fill it in the background there. Tune in next week for the 80s. Can only get better from here. We'll see you then.
You're not going to intimidate me. I'm entitled to my opinion.
Drunk, get angry. Come on, break the lousy cup. Ow! I hurt my arm.
And not expect everybody.
I'm going there soon,
Is that so? Where are you going?
Uruguay.
Well, you go Uruguay and I'll go mine.